Are you able to see the screen? Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you so much. So just I'll revise yesterday's contents so that those who were absent yesterday, they will understand what did we cover. So yesterday we have seen the introduction of the NLP, and after that we have seen what are the different domains where you are going to apply the NLP. In the basic introduction, you must understand that whenever we are saying a language, there are two different parties which are going to communicate to each other. One is your speaker and second one is your hearer. We have seen the different phases of both, and those both phases are very, very important. So just let me show you the same diagram which we had discussed yesterday. Yeah. So you can see over here, whenever there is a speaker, he had some intention to talk. He has to generate the speech or the text. And last is nothing but he has to synthesize the speech. Right? So these are the three different phases whenever we are talking about the speaker. And what is the role of the hearer? He has to percept. Perception is one of the important things because whatever is by said by a speaker, that has to be understood by a hearer without any ambiguity, right? So that's why this particular part is very, very important, disambiguation. And this is the role of the hearer, where whatever is sent by the speaker, he has to understand correctly, meaning he should not misunderstand, or there should not be any ambiguity when he is receiving the signal from the speaker. So we have seen this, and after that we have seen there are three different phases in the NLP. One is syntax analysis, second one is semantic analysis, and third one is pragmatic analysis. And that should be in the flow only. Directly, you cannot go for the pragmatic analysis. First, you will see what is the text. After that, you will analyze it syntactically. If it is correct, it will go to the next phase that is called as semantic analysis. And the output of semantic analysis will go to the pragmatic analysis, right? So we have seen the diagram, modular comprehension. You may find the different blocks over here. So each and every block is creating one or the other output. So the block of, sorry, the output of one block is going as the input to the next block. And that is important. If you miss one of the important factors as an output, the consecutive blocks will misunderstand the things, and whatever the meaning the hearer wants to interpret, that will be ambiguous meaning. That's why in every phase you should not miss any of the point to get the correct meaning of the sentence whichever sent by your speaker. We have seen some of these statements as ambiguity, and we have seen the features of ambiguity as well. The first feature of the ambiguity is ubiquitous. Second, we have seen ambiguity is explosive because whenever you will be doing the syntactic analysis, you have to generate the parse trees with the help of part of speech. So as the number of clauses will increase, the number of parses will increase. That's why it is called as explosive. And if there is some ambiguity, and through that ambiguity there could be a humor generated, that is okay. If the humor is generated and you are taking it lightly, then it is okay. But there is some serious thing which a speaker wants to communicate, and that is converted into humor, then it has some different consequences. So it should not happen, right? So that's why you need to be very careful whenever you are dealing with the natural language. After that, we have seen why the language is ambiguous, because there are so many phases. Whenever we are saying the computational linguistic, how you are going to conceptualize every linguistic expression. Okay, that is your first phase. As I told, now if you miss one of the points, the next blocks will get the wrong input and the ambiguity is going to increase. So that should not happen. And the second thing is, whenever you are writing or conveying something, if I am creating a particular statement as a paragraph, so hearer is not able to understand the context key. If the paragraph is containing 6 to 7 statements, तो पहला statement कौन सा start हुआ था, and with respect to that the speaker is talking, that whole context will miss. That's why your expression should be shorter, and whenever you are trying or experimenting for the first time with the NLP, then you have to give a small statements to understand how the machine is going to behave. Right now, luckily, we are using so many inbuilt and standard libraries, which are well to do with all those tasks, right? So you won't find any ambiguity. It is not the case that every time, but if you get the ambiguity, you know how to resolve that ambiguity. Okay, so we are moving to the accuracy nowadays, because so many libraries or the inventions are being happened in the natural language. Now, language relies on people's ability to use their knowledge and inference. So, whatever the knowledge and inference I have being a speaker, you should also have that level of the knowledge and inference. Okay, to understand what I mean to convey. Correct. So at least there should be some background. If I directly tell you that now write a program for NLP, and you don't know what are the different libraries are being used, which language, programming language you are going to use, then saying this particular statement is useless. Okay. First, I need to ask whether you know Python programming. If you are saying yes, then I should just go through the different libraries. Now you know how to install because you are in last year. If I will be asking the same thing to the first year or second year students, then that might be difficult to follow the instructions, whatever I mean to say, right? But right now you are dealing with so many projects, so many programming languages you have learned. At least you have an idea that how to install a particular package or the libraries, so that successfully you could run one or the two programs, right? So this is how we need to convey the message to the hearer or a listener. Then and only then we can be successful in the communication. Now, infrequently disambiguation fails, that is the compression is lossy. So the compression is lossy or lossless. These are the two things. If it become lossy, meaning I'll be missing the context, right? If it would be lossless, so being the engineer, what is your role? Whatever the communication or the प्रोसेसिंग इज बन हैपनिंग दैट शुड बी लॉसलेस. ऐसे होता है ना जब हम डिजिटल सिग्नल प्रोसेसिंग पढ़ते हैं, एंड वट एवर आई एम कम्युनिकेटिंग ऑल्सो दैट इज थ्रू द analog signal, you are able to listen it, right? So in this particular system, it is to be converted somewhere into the digital form, and again at your end it is converted into the digital to analog form. So whatever I'll be communicating, you are able to hear it properly. Now what happens in the digital signal processing, if you miss one of these signals, then you won't understand. वैसे ही अगर अगर ग्लिच आ गया नेटवर्क पे, या if there is some disturbance in the network, then you are not able to hear what actually I am talking about, or there is a breakage in the words or the statements. So this everything will cause the ambiguity. Either it is technological ambiguity or the ambiguity in the processing. Now, this is very important because I know that you understand natural language, but computer won't understand the natural language. That's why we have to convert the natural language into the computer language. So this is ambiguity is the primary difference between natural and the computer language. If whatever I mean to say, the machine is exactly understanding the same thing, then we can say yes, the processing is accurate. And when you measure the accuracy or the performance, that would be 100%. Okay. But generally it won't happen because you are not talking in terms of a single block or single task or a single what we can say the sentence. Okay, that is easy. But when you are dealing with 24/7 something with respect to the computer language, then yes, you cannot commit that there would be 100% of accuracy. Now, yesterday also we have talked about the knowledge representation or knowledge base. Because whenever we are talking about the artificial intelligence, okay, you must have learned the agents also. Okay, you have learned the knowledge representation. Whenever we are talking about the knowledge representation, we need to transform it into one or the second logical form. Okay, then and only then the machine is going to understand. So that could be your predicate logic, propositional logic, there could be the semantic network. So these are the different types of representations when we are saying knowledge representation, right? So the same thing you have to apply the formal programming languages. These are unambiguous क्योंकि अगर C प्रोग्राम तुम लिख रहे हो, तुम्हें पता है C प्रोग्राम कैसे लिखते हैं, कैसा कंपाइल होता है और कैसे रन होता है. So this particular processing you know, and that happens with each and every language which you write with the help of correct syntax. But the same thing you cannot assure with the natural language because they can be defined by grammar, which can produce the different past trees for each sentence in a language. And in this subject, we are learning about only English language. As you are taking the different language, the processing of the languages differ in terms of grammar, in terms of formation of the sentence. So you have to take care of each and everything. That's why the systems have been arrived like multilingual, okay, multimodal, where you will be dealing with so many things at a time to process natural language. Now, programming languages are deterministic. It has a predefined and fixed passing nature. Okay, they are deterministic context-free languages. Yesterday also we had discussed about the theory of computation. You are not learned that particular subject, but at a particular point of time, actually, how the assembler, how the compiler is going to generate a statement into the context-free grammar. It is nothing but the segmentation of each statement, whatever you are writing. जैसे मैंने लिखा कि int I. Int I is very small statement and after that you will be giving a semicolon. Okay, if you are writing in C language, try to understand. Now, the segmentation of this statement, though it has only 2 words, it will happen in 3 different phases. जैसे int अलग है, I अलग है और semicolon अलग है. So semicolon also has a meaning where it has to interpret, yes, now the statement has been ended and I need to process only int I. Correct? So it is very simple when the deterministic languages are there or the programming languages are there. Whereas it is very difficult when it comes to a natural language. Okay, and the complexity has also been given if it is DCFL. DCFL का meaning है programming language का, कौन सा भी processing अगर आप कर रहे हो, and for that parsing time, it will take big O of n time, where n is the length of a string. So you can apply it any of the languages, then you will find that this is the complexity, but it differ in terms of natural language. Are you getting, guys? Hello? Hello? Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Now coming to the next part. Yeah. So these are some of the simple tasks. Yesterday also we have gone through this. I'll be just refreshing the statements. Now, as I told, word segmentation. Word segmentation is a part of syntactic analysis, right? So you may find over here how a particular word is been converted into a words, okay, or string of characters. String of characters is called as graphemes, right? So breaking string of characters into a sequence of words, sequence also does matter. Why? Because if the sequence, how the sentence has been formed, subject, verb, and object, right? But if I mismatch the sequence, then it is difficult to interpret the meaning. In some written languages, we won't find the space. Okay, for example, Chinese. So that time it is difficult or crucial how to segment a word. Now, in English also, how you are dealing with the words, either by saying space. Okay, that is the first rule. Second rule is what? If you will be seeing some punctuation, जैसे full stop है, comma, semicolon, hyphen, or bracket. Likewise, you need to understand, yes, now the different word is going to start. So these are some of the hints whenever you are going to give the input to a machine. The examples are being given. Try to understand there are some English URLs. So if I want to tell you jumptheshark.com and I didn't give any space, so how it will look like? Everything is in sequence and you will find that starting from the J till the M, the whole thing is been URL, right? But it is not the case. Only the shark.com is the URL. Now the next, myspace.com, Plucker swing bar. Now Plucker swing bar and Plucker swing bar, there is a difference. So if there is a continuation in words without space, without any punctuation, then it might be very difficult to check and compare each word with the corpus of the dictionary of that particular language. Are you understanding this? So this is how your word segmentation works. Now in the word segmentation, we are talking about the first phase only. In the syntactic analysis, word segmentation के बाद there would be the morphological analysis. So what is the meaning of morphology? So it is again the field of linguistics which studies the internal structure of words. So directly we can say it is a subdomain of your natural language processing domain. Why? Because it is going to help you to process the language. So morpheme is the smallest linguistic unit that has semantic meaning. Okay, semantic meaning where you are not interpreting a word in a different way, right? So this is your morpheme. If I am saying carry, yes, carry is nothing but you have to carry something. Okay. As soon as pre, ed, ly, s, these are some of the morphemes, though they have not predefined meaning, but they will be treated as the smallest linguistic unit, right? Why? क्योंकि अगर मैं verb के सामने ed लगा रही हूं तो yes, the meaning is being changed, that is the past tense, correct? If I am writing in front of some word, so it will become independent, right? So independent and dependent, totally opposite. And if I miss in the independent word, then you will miss the meaning only, क्योंकि दोनों antonyms है, correct? So depend is the original word, and for that depend we have attached three morphemes. Try to understand, that is in, ent and ly, and actual word is what? Depend. वैसे ही googlers is not the dictionary word, right? So Google is one of the search engines, but how we are using a word, okay, based on the generation language, based on the short forms which you will be using, okay, you need to incorporate those words into the dictionary. जैसे by the way के लिए BTW तुम लिखते हो, so BTW is not a standard word, but you understand what is the BTW, right? So such words are being incorporated when you are writing one of the application for the social media or the communication, okay, informal communication. But this BTW is not in the formal communication or the official language. Okay, make that also clear. Now unlockable, again the same example. Either you will say unlock and able, or you can say unalloc or lockable alloc. So based on this, how you are going to differentiate the morphemes, and these smallest linguistic units plays very important role, though they have not the meaning in the standalone form. उसके बाद the third phase, yet we are in the phase 1, that is syntactic analysis. Okay, don't miss the thing. In the syntactic analysis, first task is word segmentation, second task is morphological analysis. Third, which is very important, we had discussed this yesterday, that is part of speech. So this is useful for subsequent syntactic parsing and word sense disambiguation. So this should be your target. Okay. वर्ड सेंस एम्बिगुएशन नहीं, वर्ड सेंस डिसएम्बिगुएशन, उसे हम कहते हैं WSD. Ultimate goal of the processing would be removing the disambiguity and passing the correct message to the hearer. It is the now these words or the sentences we have seen yesterday. So I ate the spaghetti with meatballs. For that you must know how the language is been formed, how the sentences has been formed. If the type of the sentence has been changed, the structure is also been changed. Remember this thing. Because whenever we write an essay or a story, it is not just simple words or simple sentences we write. There are different types of sentences like direct conversation, indirect conversation, active voice, passive voice, उसके बाद interrogative sentence, exclamatory sentence, okay, affirmative sentence. So everything is been there. So it is not just कि चलो simple text दिया है and you need to process. No, each and everything comes under that language, and your system should efficient to process them. Now in the phrase chunking, एक हो गया मेरा part of speech. So every word you have been defined with the help of one of the part of speech, that is called as POS tagging. Now find all non-recursive noun phrases and verb phrases in a sentence. Yes, I need to find out what is the noun phrase, what is the verb phrase, what is the past participle or preposition or auxiliary or determiner. Each and everything I should know. Then and only then you can write the chunks of the phrases. Again, the example, try to understand. I ate spaghetti, the spaghetti. The spaghetti ko again you can divide it into the auxiliary and the noun. With meatball, simple. Meatball is a real word. S is, you can say it is a morpheme. Correct? Now the next statement, he reckons the current account deficit will narrow to only number, that is 1.8 billion in September. So this is the longer statement than the previous one. So you may find, yes, there are more than verb phrases, more than one noun phrases, okay, in the statement. So this is how you need to chunk the phrase. Once it has been done, you have to create the parse tree. So producing the correct syntactic parse tree for a sentence, again this we have seen yesterday, you people have practiced, that I am not going to cover. Now comes, so how many phases you have seen in the syntactic analysis, just go through that. First one is word segmentation, second one is morphological analysis, POS tagging, phrase chunking, and the last one is the generating the parse tree. So total 5 phases are the tasks in one phase. That is the first phase, syntactic analysis. Now, yes, we have uttered a word called word sense disambiguation. Now, this removal is happening in the next phase, that is semantic analysis. Now, in the semantic analysis, this is one of the very, very important tasks. Why? Because words in NL usually have a fair number of different possible meanings, right? Yesterday we have seen I saw, a saw. Then you have to understand, yes, I saw, immediate आ रहा है इसलिए वो verb होगा, and the saw is a noun, okay? That we have related yesterday. Now the same thing has been happening over here. You may find the same word with the same spelling, same pronunciation, but the meaning is different. Ellen has a strong interest in computational linguistics, whereas Ellen plays a large amount of interest on her credit card. Now the context is different of the statement, but as you, being a human, understand the language because you have a knowledge base of the statements, words, meanings. Ultimately, interest is nothing but passion. Over here, interest, we are talking in terms of some banking term. Now, meaning is different. So this ambiguity has to removed in the semantic phase. Now, in the question answering translation, the proper sense of each word in a sentence must be determined and it should not be ambiguous. So that is the important factor in the semantic analysis. Now coming to the role labeling of the semantic, it is called as semantic role labeling. So we have seen clauses in the Catalan numbers, right? Based on the clauses, the parses are increased. Now you have to find the clause first. Determine the semantic role played by each noun phrase, and that is an argument to the verb. So some statement has been given, agent, patient, source, destination, instrument, these are the words, right? But if I am writing a statement, John drove Mary from Austin to Dallas in his Toyota Prius. So this is statement. Now you have to relate each noun phrase with the second noun phrase with the help of verbs, right? And there are again from Austin to Dallas, फिर noun आ गया. In his, again what? The auxiliary word is been there, or the pronoun you can say. After that, Toyota Prius, again the second noun. So many nouns are there in this word. John hai, Mary hai, Austin hai, Dallas hai, Toyota, Prius. These all are words, nouns, and those nouns are connected with a single verb, but there are many connecting words in this statement so that you will understand the meaning of the statement. So how you are labeling the nouns with the verbs. Now the hammer broke the window. The simple statement is there. Now hammer and window are the words. Broke. So someone is acting. Hammer अपने आप उठ के whether it has broken the window, the answer is no. There should be some actor who is using the hammer and the hammer broke the window, right? So this some meanings have to be implicit. Okay, you have to understand the implicit meaning. How does it act? Maybe there is an actor, though the sentence is not containing the subject. Correct? So जैसे हम बोलते हैं explicitly we have to write something. If I am not writing anything with respect to that statement, so there should be some implicit meaning that we as a human can understand, but the machine cannot understand. So this thing is very, very difficult when you try to make a machine to understand the same thing. Now there is something called as case role analysis. Semantic role लेबलिंग को केस रोल एनालिसिस बोलते हैं और थीमेटिक एनालिसिस बोलते हैं और शैलो सिमेंटिक पार्सिंग बोलते हैं. सो दीज आर द डिफरेंट नेम्स फॉर अ सेम टर्म. नाउ जैसे सिंटैक्टिक पार्सिंग हमने देखा, ओके, वेयर द पार्स ट्रीज आर बीन जनरेटेड, वैसे क्या होता है, द सिमेंटिक पार्सिंग भी होता है. सो इन द सिमेंटिक पार्सिंग we are dealing with the logical form, whereas in the syntactic analysis we are dealing with the actual syntax or the physical form of that statement. Remember this thing. So that's why the semantic analysis is difficult than your syntactic analysis. There are so many things which you need to understand and make the machine to understand. So coming to the semantic parsing, just a minute. Yeah. So it is a parser which maps a natural language sentence to a complete detailed semantic. Yes. Now logical form. So how you will be putting the logic process language. It is very important how your machine is going to behave, right? Suppose there are different 10 test cases. Not necessary when we are writing a simple sentence or a paragraph. We were considering only 5 of the test cases, but we did not think of the other 5 test cases. But it could happen at some point of time, you may face these different 5 test cases which you did not consider. That time, this will become a rigorous practice, whether you have taken all the situation into consideration or not. If not, some at the other point of time, you will find an error while processing such statements. So if for my application, the desired output is immediately executable by another program, this is one of the examples. Mapping an English database query to a Prolog, it is difficult क्योंकि English database में क्या आएगा, and again the English, when we come across the writing, yes, universally everyone has to follow the same rules. But when we say that, yes, though it is English and the different people of the different countries are speaking the same language, based on the pronunciation, it is very difficult to understand for a machine what, why, how the person is talking. Right? So that time your semantic parsing will come into the picture. Though the pronunciation or the way of the talking is different, whether the machine is understanding it is in a right way, that you need to see. So how many cities are there in US? Suppose this is one of the question that you have asked to the database. So database may already it is been saved. Okay. So it is going to map. So the example is been given in the Prolog language. So answer A, count. How many likha hai? So that's why count is coming into the picture. Again, it is fixed. Okay, cities है तो वो बदलते रहेंगे कि आज सपोज 5 cities है तो कल यूएस में 10 cities हो जाएंगे, ऐसा होगा क्या? नो, दैट्स व्हाई देयर इज अ constant country ID to each and every city. According to that, the query is been formed. We are not going to understand why, how, and what is the meaning of the query which is written into the prologue. But as you see the words count hai, city hai, location hai, constant hai, country ID hai, so it is but obvious that yes, we are talking about the cities in terms of numbers which are located in the United States. Correct? So this is the semantic parsing. Now the next is textual entailment. First हो गया मेरा WSD, second is SRL, third is semantic parsing, fourth will be the textual entailment. Now determine whether the natural language sentence implies another under an ordinary interpretation. Just you need to check whether the statements, one statement is connected with the other statement or the statement has been finished. If it has been finished, you have to stop to interpret the meaning of that statements. Now the examples are been given with the Pascal. Just go through that. Okay, I'll be giving you 5 minutes. What is the hypothesis? Forget about the Pascal challenge. Okay, that is again जैसे prologue है, COBOL है, वैसे Pascal language है. There were in history, there were some problems faced by the Pascal language, and this scenario, read the slide, and 9:31. I'll be taking 5 minutes ka break, then we will resume. Okay. Am I clear, guys? Hope you have gone through the statements, right? Okay, so whatever the text has been given in this slide, what is the hypothesis and what is the entailment? Entailment is nothing but the meaning. How does it interpret? Okay, so it has been given. So for the first statement, whatever is the hypothesis, the actual meaning has understood by the machine. That's why it is a true statement. So in the next statement, the statement is too big to understand. So the Microsoft bought Star Office. So this is the meaning. Actually, Microsoft's rival Sun System bought the Star Office, as I have. Now, the Natural Institute of Psychobiology in Israel was established in May 1971 as the Israel Center for the Psychology by Professor something. So Israel was established. So again, it is a false. And the last statement, since its formation in 1948, Israel fought many wars with neighboring Arab countries. So Israel was established in 1948. क्योंकि since its formation in 1948 ऐसे लिखा है, and we are talking about the Israel. तो ये फॉर्म कब हुआ था? 1948 में. So it is not established in, क्योंकि National Institute of Psychobiology has been established in 1971. But the meaning उन्होंने गलत लिख लिया. That is, Israel was established in May 1971. That's why the entailment for two statements or for two hypotheses, the entailment is wrong, and for two statements, the entailment is correct. So these things or such case studies happen in terms of any of the languages. Okay, though we say that yes, English is mostly used, everyone knows, mostly processed. There is the rich dictionary and corpus of the English language. It could happen because again the question is which language you are using to process the natural language comes into picture. Okay. Now the very important, see, as the phases are going to increase, the complexity is increasing. So the third stage is called as pragmatic analysis, and we will be seeing some tasks which are very important, which and related to the pragmatic analysis. Pragmatic क्या होता है? Context. तो जो भी तुम्हारा अभी LLM hallucinate करता है because it has missed the context, that's why. That's why the last phase is very important. Now see, determine, that is called as anaphora resolution and co-reference. The meaning is same. Co-reference में ही everything has been understood that किसके साथ हम refer कर रहे हैं. That is called as co-reference, right? Now determine which phrases in the document refer to the same underlying entity. पहले स्टेटमेंट में अगर मैंने लिखा हर्षल is a good boy, he is sincere, he is doing his assignments every day. अगर मैं ये सब बोल रही हूँ, so he, his, these words are related to the boy called as Harshal. Okay, this is just an example. हम रेफर कर रहे हैं, किसके साथ रेफर कर रहे हैं? It does matter in the anaphora resolution. Now John put the carrot on the plate and ate it. Okay, अगर ऐसे लिखा तो context में क्या आएगा? Ate it, whether he has eaten the carrot or the plate. That's why there is two there are two links with it. So how you are going to interpret it, right? It does matter in the Anapura. Now, Bush started the war in Iraq, but the president needed the the consent of Congress. So this is the word. Now, if we know, yes, the Bush is the president, then directly we can understand, yes, the next statement is talking about the same person, which is started with the noun called as Bush. But if we don't know, तो हम क्या interpret करेंगे? Bush has started the war in Iraq, but the president needed the consent of Congress. तो president अलग है, Bush अलग है. So this is the interpretation. Now, some cases require difficult reasoning. Okay, reasoning, you are aware with this word. So the example is been given. Now, this is a whole paragraph, not a sentence. So what this paragraph is saying, today was Jack's birthday. Penny and Janet went to the store. They were going to get the presents. Janet decided to get a kite. Then next, don't do that, said Penny. Jack has a kite. He will make you take it back. So, yes, they were talking about the noun called as kite. Are you understanding? So, already a kite they have decided to get, but in the next phase or the next sentence, someone is saying already he has a kite. And in a third sentence, what they are saying, if he or she will bring that kite, then it is been returned again. So the kite is a word, but the same word how they have used, and it is very difficult when it comes to the reasoning in terms of machine. Okay, so these are some of the ellipses you are seeing in the statement. Now we need to resolve the ellipses in terms of co-reference. The next is talking about frequently words and phrases are omitted from the sentences when they can be inferred from the context. जैसे यहाँ पे next इसमें it लिया है. It मतलब they are talking about the kite. And already she is talking about the kite, and the kite is in the store also. So everything is related to each other whenever they are talking about a gift, and the context is the Jack's birthday. Correct? So this is the last phase of the semantic. Pragmatic. Apart from that, there are important aspects. So, तीन हो गया, so it is okay now. We are ready to understand the meaning, the language in being processed. ऐसे नहीं होता है. So, as I told, जैसे अलग-अलग type के statements अगर होते हैं, और how the third party is going to interact with the machine, based on that, the machine has to answer, right? So, this is the complexity or the challenge whenever we call the different tasks. So yesterday, information retrieval and information extraction we have seen as one of the interfaces to the database. Now, how you will be extracting the information from the database with the help of natural language. Now, identify the phrases in the language that refer to a specific type of entities and relation. So you might have heard the word called entity relation diagram, right? So entity relation diagram is the classic example of your database design. So before designing any database, you must have practiced the ER diagrams where you have mentioned entities and the relationship among the entities. Now, entity bola to ho gaya kya? No, there are multiple types, okay, in the entities also. And relationship also, 1:1, 1:many, many:1, many:many. So these are the different relationships among the entities. Now there is something called as named entity recognition. Very very important thing. क्योंकि कभी कभी ऐसे हो सकता है कि we are recognizing the nouns with the help of suppose name of the people or person, name of the places, name of the organization. अगर मैंने नासा बोला या इसरो बोला, or if I am saying IIT, NIT or MIT, Harvard, so these are obvious the organization, different organizations. Some may be the educational organization, some may be the research organization, some may be the organization which deal with the study of planets, right? Or missiles or defense. So these are some of the examples of the named entities. So you need to understand हर एक noun है, लेकिन वो noun person का है, organization का है, place का है, company का है, that you need to understand. So the example is being given that Michael Dell is the CEO of Dell Computer Corporation. So in the next phase, the first one is the person name, next name is the organization name, and the third name is the place. So Austin, Texas. So this is a place. So each and every phrase come under the named entity recognition. Now, relation extraction कैसे करोगे? Okay, if some question has been asked, who अगर बोला तो obviously the name will be the Michael Dell. Okay, information अगर मैं extract करना चाहती हूँ. In which organization or Michael Dell is the CEO of which organization? ऐसे आया तो you will just answer Dell Computer. Or if I ask you where Michael Dell live, where does Michael Dell live? So you have to answer Austin, Texas. So to one name, so many nouns are being connected, and based on that, the extraction should happen. So that is called as relation extraction. Okay, identifies the specific relation between the entities. Through the arrow, it has been denoted that Michael Dell किसका CEO है? Dell का है, और Michael Dell lives in the Texas. So these are some of the examples of the NER, named entity. Okay, कहाँ पे गया? Yeah, named entity recognition इसे बोलते हैं NER. Now question answering. So as directly answer the natural language questions based on information presented in the corpora. Corpora is nothing but a database of the textual documents. Okay, we are not talking about the corpora of the images. Okay, it is the corpora of the textual documents or the files. क्योंकि the processing of the images is difficult than your textual documents. So whatever we are learning, that is about the pure text. The examples are been given that when was Barack Obama born. अगर इसका आंसर तुम्हारे पास है तुम्हारे कॉर्पोरा में तो वो आएगा. अगर उसे पता ही नहीं है हु इज बराक ओबामा, हमें पता है बीइंग अ प्रेसिडेंट वी नो द नेम ऑफ हिम, लेकिन बराक ओबामा अगर मोर देन वन है in the population, so how you are going to answer that? Then it will become difficult and there won't be the any answer unless you specify about which Barack Obama you are talking. Now, who was the president when Barack Obama was born? Now, the next question is specific, provided you know the Barack Obama as the president. Okay, so first I should know the country of the person. If I find the country of the person, then only I can find the name of the president of that country. If I don't know, there are multiple Barack Obamas in multiple countries, then it is very difficult to answer that who was the president. Now, how many presidents have there been since Barack Obama was born? So the answer is 9. So provided your corpora contains Barack Obama as one of the important personas, then and only then you can answer, or you will get the correct answer from the question answering system. Yes, I am not going through this. Read a passage of a text and answer questions about it. तो ये आपको करना है. Just go through the para. Okay, and the example is from the Stanford Scott data set. मतलब ये जो पैराग्राफ उठाया है वो उस डेटा सेट से उठाया गया है. That's why it has been acknowledged. Read it. Try to understand the expected meaning out of this paragraph. Is it done? Yes, guys. हो गया पढ़ के? सुयश, जयेश, आदित्य, अंशुल, सुदेश, आकाश, अर्चना, जिष्णु, no one is listening, so I'll stop. Sorry. केया, अनुष्का, जोया, पार्थ, पृथ्वीराज, आदित्य, वैष्णव, यश, आकाश, मधुर,
Yes, ma'am.
सिद्धि, समृद्धि, श्रेयस, ओमकार, हर्षल,
Yes,
तनिष्क,
ma'am, I am there.
तनिष्क, वेदांत, कपिल, सक्षम, ओम.
Yes, ma'am.
What I am talking about? Let me know. See, if you are listening, then only there is a point in taking the lecture. If you have just turned it on and you are roaming around, then I am not at all interested in taking the lecture. Remember this thing. I'll declare that particular topic has been covered and you have to do whatever you want to do. Okay, 2 घंटे यहाँ पे बड़बड़ कर रही हूँ मैं and no one is taking effort to respond. शौर्य, इसने तो होल्ड पे रखा है. let it be. You will be making my task very easy. I'm happy. Fine. After the reading comprehension, whatever you have read, I assume, producing the text. Okay. That is nothing but text summarization. Suppose there is a big paragraph, then we need to summarize it into the crisp meaning of that paragraph. So the article is been given. Now there is a summarized text. Again, this will be a practice. Now, machine translation, translate a sentence from one natural language to another. So this is a particular language. Hasta la vista, baby. So until we see each other again, baby. So this is the machine translation. Now ambiguity resolution is required for the translation. Syntactic and semantic ambiguities must be properly resolved for a correct translation. So John plays the guitar, John toca la guitarra. So this is the different language which has been written. John plays saucer, again the different language translation. So while doing the translation also you have to maintain. जैसे हम बोलते हैं कि Marathi to English, Marathi to Hindi, Hindi to English. So whenever we are translating, the formation of the statement is being changed, and accordingly it will be very easier and comfortable to read that. I say statement, the system has to generate, that is nothing but translation. So an apocryphal story is that an early MT system gave the following results when translating from English to Russian and then back to English. So the spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. The liquor is good, but the meat is spoiled. So out of sight, out of mind. So these are some of the sentences which we need to translate into the Russian. Now, resolving the ambiguity, choosing the correct interpretation of linguistic utterances requires knowledge of syntax. An agent is typically the subject of verb. Semantic, Michael and Ellen are names of people. Austin is the name of the city, and Toyota is a car company. And Prius is the brand of a car. So pragmatic word knowledge, credit card requires user to pay the financial interest, and agents must be animate, and hammer is not animate. So these are some of the examples of resolving the ambiguity. Manual knowledge acquisition, traditional rationalist approaches to language processing require human specialists to specify and formalize the required knowledge. Manual knowledge engineering is difficult, time consuming, and error prone. So rules in language have numerous exceptions and irregulations. So all grammars leak, Edward Sapir has been um, uttered this particular statement in 1921. Manually developed systems were expensive. To develop their abilities were limited and brittle, no robust. So manual knowledge acquisition के बारे में it has been written. Now automatic learning approach use machine learning methods to automatically acquire the required knowledge from appropriately annotated text corpora, variously referred to as the corpus-based statistical or empirical approach. Statistical learning methods were first applied to speech recognition in 1970s and became the dominant approach in 80s. During the 1990s, the statistical training approach expanded and came to dominate almost all areas of NLP. So these are some of the examples. So the learning approach, you may find machine learning, linguistic knowledge, and the NLP system. Manually annotated corpora has to be given to machine to learn, because you know the machine learning, it is into the two phases, training and testing. So NLP system को क्या दिया जाएगा? Raw text. So raw text, how it is going to interpret with the help of already trained data. So you will find automatically annotated text. Now, advantage of the learning approach, large amount of electronic text are now available. Everyone knows that. because we are generating large amount of data. Annotating corpora is easier and requires less expertise than manual knowledge engineering. Learning algorithm have progressed to be able to handle large amounts of data and produce accurate probabilistic knowledge. The probabilistic knowledge acquired allows robust processing that handles linguistic regularities as well as exceptions. So these are some of the advantages of the learning approaches. The importance of probability, as you know, the probability and the different terms called as permutation, combination, okay, and where the probability is been used, okay. Unlikely interpretations of words can combine to generate spurious ambiguity. The AR of I is a valid English noun phrase. A is an adjective for the letter A. R is a noun for the area of the land, that is in terms of hectare. I is a noun for the letter I. Time flies like an arrow has four phrases that including those meanings. Insects of variety called time flies are fond of particular arrow. A command of record insect speeds in the manner that an arrow would. Okay. Some combinations of words are more likely than others. Vice President Gore versus Vice President Gore. So these are some of the combinations in terms of rhymes. Statistical methods allow computing the mostly likely interpretation by combining probabilistic evidence from a variety of uncertain knowledge sources. So these are some of the importance of the probability. Now, human language acquisition. Human children obviously learn languages from experience, as you have done, or I have learned the language. However, it is conversational to what extent prior knowledge of universal grammar facilitates this acquisition process. So you may communicate the language, whichever the language you know. If I randomly talk in terms of French or Russian or Japanese, it is very difficult to understand because you have not acquired the knowledge of that particular language. Now, computational studies of language learning may help us to understand human language learning and to elucidate to what extent language learning must rely on prior grammatical knowledge due to the poverty of the stimulus. So these are some, we can say, the statements which gives us the importance of the human language. Existing empirical research indicate that a great deal of linguistic knowledge can be effectively acquired from reasonable amounts of real linguistic data without specific knowledge or of a universal grammar. So I must know the grammar if I want to interpret the language. Now the pipelining problem. Assuming separate independent components for speech recognition, syntax, semantic, pragmatic, etc. allows for more convenient modular software development. Okay, if we are considering all the phases in a pipeline, then it could be very rigorous and the critical thing. But if we develop the module separately, then it is a convenient and the easier way. However, frequently constraints from higher level processes are needed to disambiguate lower level processes. Yes, first we have to disambiguate the higher level, so automatically the lower level processes will become disambiguous. Example of syntactic disambiguation relying on a semantic disambiguation, as we told about the syntactic ambiguation relying on a semantic disambiguation. At the zoo, several men were showing a group of students various types of flying animals. Suddenly, one of the students hit the man with a bat. So, for a with a bat, now bat is the bat as an instrument playing cricket, or bat is the animal also. So that you need to relate and try to understand. Pipelining problem. If a hard decision is made at each stage, cannot backtrack when the latter stage indicates it is incorrect. If attached with a bat to the verb hit during the syntactic analysis, then cannot reattach it to the man after the bat. is disambiguated during later semantic and pragmatic processing. Now you need to relate the previous statement for this line. Okay, coming to the module bandwidth. If each component produces multiple code interpretation, then latter components can re-rank these interpretations. So this we have seen in the modular comprehension, this particular diagram. Now, number of interpretation grows combinatorially, then efficiently encode combinations of interpretations. That is the solution, okay, for the problem. Because number of interpretations are going to increase in combinations. The solution would be you need to find out the word lattices and the compact sparse forests. This is the solution. Now, global integration or joint inference. Integrated interpretation that combines phonetic, syntactic, semantic, pragmatic constraint. So everything is integrated in one module. So directly sound waves is been converted into the contextualized meaning. So that is your joint inference. Difficult to design and implement. अगर मैं 4-5 modules एक ही module में integrate करना चाहती हूँ तो that task will be very difficult, potentially computationally complex. So in both ways, to develop also and for computation also. Now I'll be just sharing the PPTs. You just go through the history of the NLP. Okay. Then you will understand how the different machines have been evolved with respect to the natural language processing. Is there any doubt? Yes.
No, ma'am.
Okay.